Hi guys, welcome to Finesse Gaming. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. So today's video, I'm going to go through everything you're going to need to start streaming on Twitch, Facebook or YouTube. We're going to go through hardware mostly and a few things that are software based. And we're going to go through a few things that you will maybe want to consider but you don't actually need. So I hope you enjoy the video guys. If you do, please consider dropping that like, hit the subscribe and turn notifications on. The support's hugely appreciated. And also, you will find me streaming on Twitch and Facebook. Links will be in the description below. I stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So please come and check them out. It'd be great to see you there. And without any further ado, let's get into this video. Let's go. Okay, so let's go through everything that you need to start a stream. And if you already stream, there may be a few things towards the end of this video that you will want to maybe consider buying that will help your stream. They're not necessities, but they are helpful if you do want to go and pick them up. So let's go ahead and jump into them. They're in order, and I will go over the first one or two quite quickly because they're the obvious ones. And the first one being internet. You need an internet connection, obviously, to stream. Really, the main thing that you want with it is an upload speed. An upload speed of roughly 10 megabits per second is decent, and anything above that is great. I'm not going to go too much into the internet stuff though, because I've done a video on it. I think it was actually my last video. So if you do want to go ahead and check out that video, click on the link just up here and that will talk you through all the different things that you need to use for the internet, the software setup, on how to set it up. I did it on Streamlabs, but you can do the same thing on OBS. So just go ahead and have a look at that. That gives you all the details in kind of full depth. But really, just a decent internet connection, like I said, 10 megabits per second upload speed is really what you're looking for to start. So let's just brush past that one quickly because it's an obvious one. Next, we're going to go into the hardware and the other things that you're going to need to start streaming. Okay, so in order then, the very first thing, the most important thing is a microphone. So again, this is quite an obvious one. People, when they watch your stream, will generally want to hear you and actually specifically hear you before they see you. You hear quite a few streamers, or you see quite a few streamers that actually don't have a camera. They just stream and you can hear them talking in the background, and they're quite successful sometimes. So you don't need a camera necessarily to start, although I will advise that in a second. But a microphone is the number one thing. So it's advisable, again, to get a microphone that's a separate one, like the one I'm using here, rather than one on the headphones, or just a decent microphone. If a headset comes with a very good microphone, fine, but most of the microphones that come with headsets aren't as good. So pick up a microphone, maybe a USB one. Generally, that's where people start instead of going into the really high-end ones. So this is like a Blue Yeti. It's about £100. You don't really need to spend anything more than that. You can pick up a decent mic if you don't want to spend that much for £50–60 to begin with. But pick up a microphone so people can hear your voice, and then you can play around with the settings to make it as good as it can be in the streaming software. The only thing I will advise if you're starting out, don't go out and spend £500, £600, £800 or whatever it's going to be on an XLR condenser mic with an audio interface as well. That's going to be quite expensive and not really going to be of any benefit to you when you begin. That will be coming later on down the line where your audio is going to be upgraded, but for now, one of these microphones or something like it is perfect. And to be honest, you do see still quite a few big streamers using a USB microphone. They use them just fine, and they use them with thousands of viewers sometimes. So there's no problem in doing it. Like I said, you can set up the USB microphones in the software, in the streaming software if you want to make them as good as you can. I have done a video on this one, the blue one. Again, there's a link up here if you want to take a look at it. But that's the way to do it to begin with, instead of spending loads of money on an expensive mic. Okay, next, number 2 and number 3, I'm actually going to combine because they kind of work together as one. So that is a camera and lighting. One without the other does not really work very well. So this camera is the Sony a5100. So it's a normal camera, obviously, instead of a webcam. But I started off streaming instead of with this, with the, let me just go grab it. It's the Logitech C920. And I used this for quite a few months just when I started out streaming. I picked this up for a decent price. But the difference between the two is the quality of the camera. Obviously the picture is much better with this one than with this one. They can still both do 1080p, and they can do, this can actually do 60 frames per second, although I record in 30 frames per second, which is exactly what this one can do. But at the time I had that one, I didn't have very good lighting, so the picture wasn't very good. So if you do go ahead and pick up a camera like this one, you will have more options in the software, in the actual settings in the camera itself to set the lighting effects and different things, so you can get the best shot possible. But I will say, even though you do all that stuff, if you don't have good lighting in the room, it isn't going to be as good. So a camera like this one with good lighting can look better than a camera like the Sony I've got here with poor lighting, and the price difference between the two is quite a lot. So I picked that up for about 40 quid because it was on sale. This one was well over £300, so it's worth just thinking about that before you actually start buying expensive cameras. Make sure the room lighting is good, and then you can get the camera as well. Probably advisable to actually start with just a standard camera, get good lighting, and then upgrade the camera over time instead of buying an expensive camera to begin with. And just so you can see the difference with this camera, if I switch off all the lighting effects, this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is what the Sony a5100 looks like, the DSLR camera without any lighting. So you can see the difference between what is lit up quite nicely and then this. So you're going to be better off actually having all that lighting effect that I had a second ago with this Logitech camera instead of having this Sony camera with poor lighting. So make sure you get the two together. You don't have to spend loads of money, and what you're really looking for is a key light. So that means a light behind the camera or in front of you. It doesn't have to be an expensive one, but something to light up your face. And as you saw a second ago, I have backlighting, which is literally a light on the floor down there, which helps light up the back of the room. I haven't yet got a hair light, one that goes above me, but at this moment in time I don't really feel like I need one. But that's how we go ahead and do it, and make sure that you are lit up, so you're lighting your face up and the background is got some form of lighting as well. Okay, number 5 then is the streaming software that you're going to use to stream. You want to be using something that's going to be relatively easy instead of going into the complicated ones straight away. OBS is a little bit harder to use than Streamlabs OBS. Streamlabs is quite easy to use, which is what I actually still use today to stream, and that's probably the place to begin with. But there are other ones. There's OBS. I know that Stream Elements are pretty good as well, but you will need to use OBS after it. But you can do different ways of streaming. It's advisable to use the easiest one possible. So some form of stream software. Probably try the free ones to begin with. Don't go out splashing money on the prime ones to start with. You don't need to. And even with the free ones, when you set them up, it does offer you the different overlays and things like that. Just the standard ones. You've got a few different options, so at least you can make your stream somewhat look pretty decent without spending any money to begin with. You should learn the ropes doing that, learn how it all works, and then maybe go ahead and spend a bit of money on getting different stream software, different overlays and different stream setups. So you can customize the look of your stream a little bit with the overlays and the different notifications that pop up. So we can do all that in Streamlabs or OBS. It's a little bit easier though in Streamlabs to begin with. And number 6 is back to hardware again. This is the computer that you're going to use to actually stream and even play a game on at the same time. So depending upon what you're playing on, whether it be a console or a PC, if it is a PC or a computer, obviously that computer needs to be able to handle two things at once. So if your computer is old, it's got a poor CPU in it, it might not be able to do it. It might struggle to do the two things at once, which is something to consider. If that is the case, then maybe consider playing a game on a separate console or a separate PC. And I guess this is something that probably most of you will already understand, but if your computer is an older one, opening up a stream, maybe even recording that stream at the same time you go live and playing a game is sometimes quite demanding for a computer. So if it is, let's say, maybe 8 to 10 years older, if it is one of the older like Intel i3 processors, it's going to struggle a little bit to do all that kind of stuff. So just make sure you've got the right kind of computer hardware to be able to do it all. If not, play on a console or something else, and maybe just use a laptop or a phone or a PC if you've got one to hand to watch your stream and record. Okay, so there's just a couple more things that I'm just going to add to that list. Now, there is one thing that a lot of people do use. This is only if you really play on a console, obviously, and again, you don't necessarily need this, which is why it's not one of the things that you need. But if you do play on a console and you want to stream on a PC, capture card is what you're going to need to be able to send the game data or the game over towards the PC so you can stream that gameplay. Generally, these capture cards can be a little bit costly, and generally they're going to be either internally in the PC or you can have an external one. But you don't necessarily need one because you can stream straight from a console, but you are going to be limited to what you can do. So if you want to go and actually set up the stream in Streamlabs or something like that in some form of streaming software, but play on a console, you are going to need a capture card to go ahead and do that. And then lastly, before we go on to some other things to consider for you guys specifically who already stream, is another way to read chat. And a lot of people don't always think of this. So if you've only got one monitor, if you've only got one laptop or whatever it is you're going to play on and stream on, and you can't read chat at the same time you play a game, then we need another device like a phone or an iPad or a laptop, whatever it may be, to be able to open up the stream and read chat, or make different adjustments if you wanted to in the stream, maybe switch from different scene to different scene. But you need another way of viewing it, so that generally if you've only got one monitor with a computer, or if you're playing on a console, we need another way of reading that chat. So generally it's going to be a phone, iPad or a laptop, and just make sure you've got that to hand so you can plug it in and go ahead and read all the stuff that's coming through. Okay, 3 things then now that you could consider doing if you already stream, and if you haven't even started yet but you want to kind of make your stream as good as it can be. These are the 3 things that you could consider doing. Number 1, I've kind of already touched on with the lighting, but this is backlighting. So the lighting that you can see behind me, the purple or whatever, I can change that to any color. But backlighting helps improve the look of it a little bit, okay? So I've had people raid my channel when I've had like 1 viewer, and they've come in and raided with maybe 100+ viewers. The reason they've done it is they've gone into Twitch, they've gone to the opposite way of viewing all the different channels on the certain game that you're playing, so they're starting from the bottom instead of the top. And generally, if your stream is looking pretty good down there, most people, if they're looking for somebody to raid, will raid you. So that's how I've ended up having that. It's a bit of luck, they've seen it. But because it looks quite good in the background, and this kind of looks good on a stream, people do tend to drop by and have a little look. So it can be advantageous to have it, but it's not a necessity. It just kind of makes it look a little bit better as you're streaming. And when I say backlighting, I don't necessarily mean like a hair light and light up yourself and separate you from the background. I'm talking literally just about maybe color or something in the background. It doesn't have to be backlighting like this. It could be some nano leaves or whatever it may want to be, or just different lights, but something in the background to make it look a bit more interesting, make it stand out a little bit from the crowd in terms of how it looks. So the second thing then out of these 3 is a stream deck. Now this obviously isn't a necessity. It's something you can pick up as you go along. I picked it up probably after a few months of streaming, and not that I really needed it at the time, but it did come in handy. There was a lot of uses that I kind of wanted it for outside of streaming and in streaming, and I have to say it's been very, very good. It is much easier to move around different things, switch different scenes. I mean, there's a whole video of it. Again, if you want to click on the link up above, it can show you what it can do, but there's plenty of different uses for it, and it does come in handy. So if you're thinking of maybe expanding your stream a little bit and you want to buy something that's decent for a hardware point of view, a Stream Deck is very good. You can pick them up for, if you want to buy a Stream Deck Mini, they're only about £80. Standard one is about 139, I think it is usually, and that probably is the one to be going for as long as you can afford that. The big one, the £200 one, I think it's called the XL, is, again, it's massive, it's very good. but you probably don't need that many buttons unless you're a big streamer. But it's a very good thing to buy just to kind of help your stream along a bit, but it's nowhere near a necessity. It's just a nice thing to have. And by the way, there are plenty of other different versions of it. Instead of having the Elgato one, there are some cheaper ways of doing it as well, which are good, and you should probably check one of them out if you really want to get one to start with. Okay, last thing out of the three, and I had this actually from the beginning because I had to buy one for the PC as it happened, and that is a second or third monitor. So a second monitor really is the only main thing you need. So you're going to play a game on one and you can have your stream open on the second one. So it can take a little bit away some of the usage from your broadband network. Instead of having multiple devices all kind of using up your broadband, you've only got the computer using it up, and you've got the two screens be able to read chat or do whatever you want to do on the one and play a game on the other one. So that can help if your internet isn't that good. It's not going to be a big difference, but it will help a little bit instead of having loads of devices open. Too many devices obviously are going to use up most of your bandwidth on your internet, so it can be helpful if you've only got the computer using it and you've got two screens using the different things for a game and chat. So something to consider. It's not a necessity. Again, you don't have to do it, but you will need another way of viewing your chat. So if you prefer, instead of getting, if you maybe don't have a laptop or anything else, maybe worth buying just a monitor. It could be a cheap monitor, but a way of viewing your chat on a second screen is helpful, specifically because it can be right in front of you, so you don't have to look up and down or whatever it may be. But again, if you've got poor internet, it may be able to just help a little bit. Okay guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider dropping that like, hit that subscribe, turn notifications on. The support's hugely appreciated, like I said, and it really does help this channel. And if you do have any other suggestions of what people may need to start streaming or they may be able to buy as they go along, pop those in the comment section below. Also, just a reminder, you can find me streaming on Twitch and Facebook. Links will be in the description below. I stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so it'd be great to see you there if you wanted to come and check it out. But until next time guys, thank you for watching, have a good night, keep safe, GG.